Hi, I'm so sorry I haven't posted for the last 4 weeks. I'm really sorry. I've been so busy. I have my GCSEs coming up. So that's my excuse, but it's not really a proper excuse because I could have done them. I just didn't. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do them now. I'm going to do two this today. I'm going to do two today. I'm going to do history and games today. And then tomorrow I'm going to do 50 things and charities and Coney because it would be way too much to do in one video. I'm sorry. So England has quite a long history. A lot of people start talking about English history from 1066, not because that's when they say the English people started. It actually probably they'd say it started with the Anglo-Saxons before then. But a lot of people start talking about it from 1066 because it's easier and it's a good starting point because that's when William the Conqueror invaded and the French people came into England. And I don't know why, but a lot of people use that as a good time to start talking about English history. That's often where you start counting English monarchs, so most people would say the first king of England was William the Conqueror. And that's where I'm going to start talking from because it's easier. Yay! So yes, basically William the Conqueror invaded England and became the king. He's normally credited as the first king of England when you give a list of all the kings and queens of England. He created something called the Domesday Book, which was basically a giant census of everybody in England. And yeah, that's very helpful for historians, and I had to learn a lot about it in year 7 and it wasn't that interesting, but that happened. Right, basically I'm going to skip over the next maybe 2-3 centuries because not that much happened other than a lot of battles and people saying, I'm the king, no, I'm the king, and we don't have a lot of time, so we can't deal with all of the everybody squabbling over who is the king. Now we're up to the bit that I find really interesting, which are the Tudors. Now, every child in England learns about the Tudors at least 6 times, so I know quite a lot about this, actually. Well, I'm not very good at other areas of history. So, basically, Henry VII defeats Richard III in the War of the Roses, which is good for Henry VIII. Because when Henry VII dies, he gets to become king and marry 6 wives, 2 who he beheads, 2 who he divorces, 1 who dies and 1 who outlives him. Isn't that great? Seriously, he got through wives really quickly. It's mad. But then he has 3 children, Edward, Mary and Elizabeth. First, there's Edward, who gets on the throne quite young because his dad's not very healthy and doesn't actually live to be that old. And so Edward's the king for a little bit, but he's very sick and dies after a few years. Then we get Mary, who likes to kill people, earning the nickname Bloody Mary. She liked to burn a lot of people because they didn't believe what she believed religiously, and yeah, that was bad for them. Then we have Elizabeth, and hence comes the 60 years of they call the golden era of Britain, where good stuff happened, but actually a lot of bad stuff happened too. They just don't talk about it. But yeah, it's generally Elizabeth I's rule is generally thought of a good time. So yeah, that's basically the history of England up until the 1600s. I'm sure we'll carry that on at some point. Now I'm going to talk to you about English games. Now, England invented a lot of sports. I'd say because we invented like football and cricket and rugby and all those good games. We're not very good at them anymore, and I dislike most sports. But yes, most of them were made by us. The official rules for football, were actually codified in Cambridge, which is very near where I live, and that's great. Football is the only sport I really play. I am a goalkeeper in our football team at school, but there aren't very many of us in our football team, and it's not very widely popular at my school, but around the country it's a lot more popular. It's just because I go to a girls' school where we play hockey and netball, which are other sports that I think were invented in England. I'm not sure about hockey, but I think netball definitely was. Rugby was invented in the town of Rugby by a sports by people who did not understand why in football you can't just pick up the ball. They thought you should be allowed to do that, so they invented rugby. I guess we don't really have a lot of games that aren't sports, but yeah, we're rather fond of our sports. Cricket, we care way too much about cricket. My brother and my dad will sit around during the Ashes and just watch cricket the whole time, and they play a lot of cricket, so yeah, there's cricket as well. That's really it. We don't have a lot of traditional games that aren't sports. It's a bit sad, really. Okay. So I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I will do another video tomorrow covering 50 things and Coney. So yes, I will see you tomorrow.